I love wood carving, but if it was an expensive hobby, I never would have gotten into it. And that would have been sad, right? If you want to get new tools outside of knives, if you go to get a Drake tool, you're spending 35 to 40 bucks, 60 bucks, some of them. I mean, V tools from File and gougers to buy, these are all expensive tools, 30 to $40 a piece. If you buy a set of four just for some simple caricature carving, something like that to get past just using knives, you're spending 120 bucks. Now, all of us can afford to do that. So what do you do? What are your options if you don't want to spend $120? Well, everyone keeps saying that it only takes a sharp tool, right? If you have some old tools that you get from the garage sale or Facebook Marketplace, it doesn't have to be these fancy tool brands. Well, I figured let's put that to the test, right? I believe that too. Let's put that to the test. Let's find out exactly what it takes. So I looked around and take a look at right here, right? I found the site, mountainwoodtraders.com, and they've got these tools available that are $5 a piece, no handles, just simple carving tools. And I thought, let's give it a shot. Now, getting them in hand, I'm hesitantly excited. For a $5 tool, this 3/16 number 8 looks like to be okay. I've got a number 6 3/8, and that looks like to be fine. Feels sharp on the tip. And this is the number 11 3/16. A little deep gouge. I'm not sure about that angle on the grind, but we're going to see. And here is the 45-degree V tool. It is also a 3/16. All four of these, like I said, were $5 a piece. Total investment so far was just $20. And I'm really looking forward to testing them out. But to do that, I'm going to need some handles. So I bought this 1-inch dowel rod from the local hardware store. Just double check it here. Yep, that is 1 inch. So 1-inch dowel rod from the local hardware store, and I'm going to cut it in like 2.5-inch long pieces, I think. I'm going to try to fashion a handle for those things out of this. And yeah, this cost me $5. It's not too bad. So, should be fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Obviously, just cutting a dowel is fairly simple and straightforward. I'm trying to keep this project as simple as possible for a frugal carver, so remember, you can use a handsaw for this part. Okay, so there we go. I have got 4 pieces of dowel that I can use as handles, and I think that's going to be a decent sized handle, not too big. It's relatively small, but it's about the size handles that I already have on palm tools. So I'm using this as a size comparison for what's already there. Like the tools I already have are around about that size. So that's why I chose this particular size. We'll see if it works. You can get as fancy with these handles as you want to, but I'm not trying to get fancy. I'm trying to be simple, quick, easy, efficient, and show what you can do for as cheap as you can to get extra tools. So all I'm doing is marking center, and I'm going to drill them out by hand. I could use a drill press to make sure that line is directly vertical, straight, completely in line and plumb. And if you do that, your tools will probably look better. Doing it by hand, they might be off a little bit and be pointed a little bit in one direction or the other. Now, if it's a palm tool, I don't think it's going to matter that much, and I can adjust my hand as necessary to carve properly, so I'm not worried about it. I just want something that can be in my hand, provide more thickness than the little rod that those tools are right now without a handle. That's the only thing I'm going for here. Nothing complicated, nothing too hard, and something easily accomplishable by anyone out there, I think. Staying in line with keeping this as simple as possible, I figured I could do a little bit of shaping with a whittling knife. Anyone doing this project is going to have a whittling knife, so it's something that I can add to it to provide a little bit of extra shape, and I know that anyone else following along will be able to do so as well. So the only extra tools you really need is a saw, hand saw or otherwise, and a drill so you can drill the holes, and then you'll buy a little bit of epoxy, and you'll be able to get this done the same way as me. The dowels I bought were oak, and I've carved oak before, but this was one of the hardest oaks I've carved, so it was quite an experience, quite fun. Maybe you'll enjoy it the same way. And there it is, all shaped up into a general handle shape, right? Incredibly simple shape, nothing complicated here, nothing complex, but it will hold the tool, and I'll be able to carve with it, whittle with it, and I don't have to do anything extra. I don't have to do anything complex. Maybe I'll finish it up with some boiled linseed oil just to polymerize the surface and harden it a little bit. But that's pretty much it. So just 4 more times. Okay, so now we have got our 2-ton epoxy. This 2-part epoxy, we're just going to mix up right here. If we can get it to squeeze out. That's probably more than enough. And immediately cap it back off. And this is a old pipe cleaner from Smoking Pipes. Something I am wont to do periodically. I'm just going to go through this second piece just to be certain we don't cause a problem. And this stuff chemically cures, so make sure you get it thoroughly mixed up, both colors, otherwise it might not cure properly. When it does, it is absolutely stellar. It won't get much better. So I'm going to push some down into the hole, and then push that down as well, and we'll be wiping up the excess. Toot sweet. And that's just going to work out just fine. Shouldn't be a problem, right? Wanted to show at least one of those all the way through at regular speed. If you wanted to, you could grind some grooves into the metal on these, that they hold better in the holes, but I didn't see a point as we were doing a lot of pushing actions and not pulling with the tools, so it wouldn't be a problem. I'll let this cure for 24 hours, and then tomorrow we'll look at honing, sharpening if need be, and then seeing how they go, seeing how they work out when we use them. All right, this is about 48 hours later, not 24 hours later like I intended, but all the tools have dried and cured, and I'm going to get to spend an hour or two just sitting here working on a Roger Spiegel cowboy caricature rough out here. Roger's got a lot of really neat rough outs on his site. I like them, so if you want to get one of these busts, I think it was 20 bucks. I'm going to work with just a heavy detail knife, and then these 4 palm tools that I made. That's it. Now, obviously, I'm not just trying to show progress of working in a rough out here. I just want to make sure I illustrate the point that I spent about 2 hours working with these hand tools, doing different things as I carved a caricature bust. I made good use of them, and I got plenty of experience with them, enough to make, I think, an informed opinion on them. Final thoughts. What's the takeaway? The takeaway is this. These work just fine. I was able to do a significant amount of carving without having to use any other tools other than these and a knife. And it was fantastic. I thought that I would need to reprofile. Like I said, the number 11, I thought that was too steep of a tool there, but I didn't need to reprofile anything. They've all worked just fine. That V tool, I wasn't sure if I'd like a 45-degree V tool versus the 70 or 60 degree that I have, and that worked out just fine. I really made good use of that number 6, man. I was using that a lot. I just didn't want to put it down. And that number 8, deep gouge, I mean, they all performed great. I had no problems with them whatsoever. A sharp tool really is all you need, and you can make them yourself, or you can head over to Facebook Marketplace. You can go to eBay. You can go to garage sales and flea markets, and you can find decent quality tools there, and then make them your own and keep carving. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to break the bank on this. You can be a frugal carver and still expand the tool set that you have to get more capability in what you want to do. So those are my final thoughts on this one, okay? Thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of the video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to head over to Instagram, give me a follow over there so we can stay in touch and see what each other's carving, and you can see what other kind of videos I got coming up in the future maybe. Also, if you got time and you got a little bit extra money, $5 to get you a sticker over on Etsy that you can use to support the channel. A couple different options that you can choose from. One for Wood Carvings by Johnny, or Do You Even Carve? I Make Wood Chips. And then the most popular one is Have You Stropped Yet? If that's something you want to do, you don't have to do that at all, right? Other than that, I really appreciate your time. Watch one of these other videos on the channel you see pop on the screen. And other than that, have a good evening. Have a great weekend.